Shanks' true goal. Now, yes, I am officially back. I don't know if you guys can hear it through my voice right now. I'm not 100% when it comes to my health. I'll explain more down the end of the video. So if you want to see what happened to me while I was gone for like these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'll tell you at the end of the video. But we gotta talk about the red-haired pirate, one of the 4 Yonko. I don't know if I should say one of the 4 Yonko, because Yonko means 4 emperors. So I should just say one of the 4 emperors, one of the strongest characters in the One Piece series. A lot of people have been saying he's the strongest character. There's a huge faction that says that. It's a huge debate. There's like, when it comes to the top tier One Piece characters, like for me personally, I have a list of 7 characters which I see as the top tier. Like anyone could say one of these characters are the strongest in the series, and it would be a tough debate. So I definitely gotta give respect to Shanks, because he's in my top 7 when it comes to the top tier One Piece characters as of now. And I just gotta say right now, his true goal is the really thing that's interesting to me right now. Like Shanks, from what I've seen, he doesn't really seem like he wants the Pirate King title. Now, there's been we've been saying about other Yonkos, like, oh, they don't really want to become Pirate King, and then they show that desire to become Pirate King. And there's a huge group of people who say that Shanks does want to become Pirate King, and there's a huge group that says he doesn't want to become Pirate King. It's just a huge crazy thing, and I want to talk about what is his true goal, and I'm gonna discuss that in this video. Now, the biggest thing we have to talk about right from the beginning, I can't even wait into the middle of the video, not the end of the video. The beginning of the video, I gotta talk about it. Red-haired Shanks is a former crew member of Goldie Roger, and Goldie Roger is the Pirate King. The first chapter of One Piece, the first episode of One Piece, you see Gold Roger, and I'm gonna say it right now, like he says, if you want his treasure, go and find that. I left it all in one place, or there's different translations for what he actually says, but that's the one I like the most, to be honest. But yes, did Shanks go to Raftel? Me personally, I say yes. Yeah, he was a cabin boy on the crew. He pretty much was a scrub on the crew, but I feel like he was a member of Goldie Roger's crew. He fought in the battles against Whitebeard. I think he would be allowed to go on the actual Raftel journey and see the One Piece. That's just a personal opinion of mine. I could be wrong. Who knows? Because a lot of people say, if he went to Raftel, does that mean that Buggy went to Raftel? And you would have to say yes if they both were kind of the same level, cabin boys, scrubs. Now, a huge thing I want to discuss is Blackbeard giving him his scar, his famous scar, the 3 scars he has in his eye. Now, a lot of people say that Blackbeard did this in a scummy way, in a way in which Shanks was not on guard. But the funny thing is, because Oda actually does this in a crazy way. When he's explaining Shanks and how he got the scar, Shanks is warning Whitebeard, saying, "I was on guard when I was attacked by Blackbeard." In a way, he's saying that Blackbeard did not sneak attack him. He knew Blackbeard was coming, and he still got scarred. Now, Blackbeard, he is not a weak character. A lot of people think that Blackbeard's a weak character because of all the funny stuff that happens to him, but he's a strong character. When he punched Ace in the Banaro fight, he almost broke Ace's neck. That just shows you how physically strong Blackbeard was. Because Ace, without his Devil Fruit, is not a chump, He was beating Luffy how many times as a kid? Like, Ace is powerful without his Devil Fruit. Yes, his Devil Fruit gives him a crazy extra power, but he still wasn't a chump. And Blackbeard almost broke his neck. Just the physical strength of Blackbeard is very underestimated in the One Piece story. So there's got to be a reason how he scarred Shanks, and it's gonna be something that's gonna be talked about in the future of One Piece. Daily duels with Dracula, Mihawk, and I gotta talk about this real quick. Mihawk and Shanks, back in the day, Whitebeard was talking about how these battles were like so famous in the New World, and how they are going. Well, he didn't say New World, he said Grand Line, but I would assume New World. And Mihawk is his greatest swordsman, so the fact that Shanks was dueling him back in the day when they were youngins, it gives some respect to Shanks and his swordsmanship. Now, a lot of people say that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks because he's the greatest swordsman and Shanks uses a sword, but that's I personally feel like that's a dumb way to look at it, because Shanks definitely has more than just swordsmanship. This guy's haki, Conqueror's haki, was shown to physically damage a ship. His haki is going to be at some next level, and if you guys have been following the manga, we've seen a character whose observation haki has done something groundbreaking. So Shanks, the guy who is seen as the haki expert, is definitely going to have some crazy abilities when it comes to haki. Now, a key moment in the One Piece story that I personally feel like is a great time to see Shanks and who he is as a character is Romance Dawn. If you don't know what Romance Dawn, it's the beginning, the Luffy flashback where Luffy eats the Devil Fruit and his role model Shanks, and him and Shanks going at it, Shanks saving him, sacrificing his arm, and Luffy saying that he's going to become the Pirate King, find the One Piece, and build a better crew than Shanks, and Shanks gave him the straw hat. Shanks, when he saw a kid like Luffy who was so like crazy, like Luffy's a special kid, we all gotta understand that, when he, like, the stuff he was saying to Shanks, it was the same things that Shanks would hear from Goldie Roger. So that's why Shanks ran all the way back to Rayleigh, his vice captain, Dark King Rayleigh, and was talking about Luffy for how long. That's how mesmerized Shanks was of Luffy. So it just showcased that there's definitely more in the future that's going to be talked about when it comes to Shanks and his relationship with Luffy, and why he was so adamant about that. Like when we saw Mihawk and his appearance when Shanks and Mihawk first met in the Grand Line in the story. Now they met before and they're back in the days, but Mihawk comes to Shanks like, you want to fight? And Mihawk's like, no, I don't want to fight a one-armed man. But the reason why Mihawk came to Shanks was because of Luffy. It just showcased that Shanks wants to throw a party, celebrate with the red-haired pirates. The red-haired pirates look at Luffy in a different way, and I think there's gonna be hints to Shanks' true goal when it comes to Monkey D. Luffy. The Whitebeard versus Shanks moment, 2 Yonkos, had very crazy hype moments, like when they split the skies with their Conqueror's Haki, just the physical clash of them two with their weapons. But honestly, what Whitebeard said gave me chills, yo. What made you lose your arm in the weakest sea? East Blue was the weakest sea. That Sea King was nothing for Shanks. Luffy, pre-time skip Luffy destroyed that Sea King. Yet Shanks sacrificed his arm for Luffy to save Luffy when Shanks must have been very powerful at that time. A lot of people say why did this happen? Was it because of Oda's editor? There's a lot of reasons why people say this, but let's be honest here. Shanks said he did it for the new era, and he's pretty much saying like he did it to show Luffy. Maybe he sacrificed his arm to show Luffy how crazy the sea is and how it's a different world, because Luffy really wanted to join Shanks and the Red Hair Pirates. Who knows? But I gotta say, that was an impactful moment. Now, a big topic I want to talk about here is Shanks versus Kaido. And there's a huge topic here. Right before Marineford, Shanks went to talk to Kaido. Well, I can't really say talk, but he went to go meet Kaido, and the Marines were going crazy, like, yo, Shanks and Kaido, 2 Yonkos are interacting, what the hell? And Shanks talking to the strongest creature alive. We've already seen Kaido's behavior, his personality. He doesn't seem like the talking kind of guy. When he sees a guy like Shanks come up to him, they're gonna throw hands. That's what you would assume because of Kaido's personality. But I personally feel like they did not really fight like all out. They might have clashed a bit like Whitebeard and Shanks did, but I think that Shanks told Kaido about Luffy. That's just a theory, a prediction, a speculation of mine. I think that maybe Shanks told Kaido about a pirate that will make you have the best fight of your time, the greatest warrior that you want. He might even kill you. And when Shanks heard this, he got a little, when Kaido heard this, he got a little excited. Maybe Shanks hyped up Luffy, because we know Shanks is very adamant about Luffy. If he did do this, that would be kind of cool, but it's just a theory, a speculation. We don't know what happened with Shanks and Kaido, but personally, I feel like they just clashed a little bit, and we know Shanks went to Marineford in record speed time after clashing with Kaido. So yeah, definitely, I think that might have to do with his haki of some sort, his Osvision haki. Who knows? It's gonna be crazy when we find out what happened in that moment. Now, when Shanks stopped the war, it was kind of cool. It was badass. So he stopped Akainu. Akainu was a bad man. I'm telling you right now, he was, for me personally, the Marineford War, Akainu was the most impressive. The stuff he was doing, like the biggest feat I think he had was taking half of Whitebeard's face off. But let's talk. We can talk about Akainu in a different video. Shanks stopping the war, stopping Akainu's Magma Fist. That's hype, yo. A lot of people couldn't do that, yo. We saw him Vista and Marco try to use Haki, and Akainu didn't work, but Shanks did. And Shanks talking to having the respect of Sengoku, the fleet admiral. It just shows you how respectful Shanks is. Like, a lot of people have to give that man his respect, his due. And it's crazy because he's like, I don't want to see you with Luffy, man. Like, it's not time yet. Pretty much saying that Luffy's not strong enough yet to see me. He's not at that level. And he pretty much told him to give the Straw Hat back. You're like, it's over. I don't want to see Luffy now. So Shanks is teasing that interaction with Luffy. Like, when they actually meet, it's gonna be lit, yo. It's gonna be very litty. Now, recently, if you're an anime only, you do not know this, but I want to talk about it. Recently, Shanks did actually react to Luffy's bounty. You can see him looking at his bounty. This is after the Zou arc, and I don't think the anime is gonna showcase this because they never showcase cover stories, which I very get angry about. They did it a couple times with the Buggy cover story and the Kobe and Helmeppo's training with Garp cover story, but they don't do it often, and recently they haven't done it a lot. So I definitely feel like Shanks reaction to Luffy's bounty was very cool, very neat, and definitely a lot of stuff that's been talking about here. They're at a wedding, it seems. Is it Lucky Rue's wedding? Who knows? But yeah, definitely Shanks' reaction to Luffy's bounty. It gives you another moment of Shanks adamantly focused on Luffy. Now, there's a huge theory talking about Shanks being evil, and I made a video about this. I said many times that I'm not a big fan of the Shanks being evil theory, but it's out there, so I thought I'd just discuss it for a little bit in this video. Some people say explained that Shanks is stringing along Luffy so he can get a hold of the One Piece, using Luffy as that person to get the One Piece, because Shanks actually knows what the One Piece is because he was Goldie Roger's crew and he saw that Goldie Roger couldn't do anything with the One Piece, and that's why he left it there. So there's a huge theory like that. I'll be kind of crazy with a shocking twist like Shanks was evil the whole time. Me personally, I do not think that Shanks is evil. Shanks, I'm telling you now, it's just an instinct of mine, he's not evil. The things he's showcasing in the whole story, he's definitely not going to betray Luffy in some sort of evil way, but I definitely feel like I gotta give some respect to that theory. That would be crazy, but I'm not a fan of Shanks being evil. Now, I am a fan of Shanks and Luffy having a battle for the Straw Hat, because I know in the beginning of the series, Luffy's like, I'm gonna have a greater crew than you and all this stuff, and I'm gonna become the Pirate King, and like, you're gonna surpass us. That's what Shanks said. So, okay, meet me when you become a strong pirate. Come meet me. Return the Straw Hat to me. So it would be kind of cool if Shanks and Luffy do have a battle when it comes to the Straw Hat. It's kind of like a spar, not to the death, but just fighting to see who's actually stronger when it's the end of the story. That would be kind of cool. But a lot of people think that Shanks won't make it to that point. Now, I've said this many times, I've said that Shanks dying. People don't know. Shanks is a top 5 favorite character of mine. Yes, Shanks is a top 5 favorite character of mine, but I do think that Shanks might not make it at the end of the story. Yes, people hate this. People hate the people who are fans of this, but I'm a believer of Shanks actually dying at the end of the story. Now, most likely to Blackbeard, Marshall D. Teej. I think that'll be very impactful to Luffy and his story with Teej. We already know Teej is in his role when it comes to Porky's the Ace, and Luffy will just hate him even more, and it'll hype up the final battle between Blackbeard and Luffy. Now, I did discuss this in another video about Hawkins. Why did, as soon as Eustace Kid teamed up with Hawkins, he changed his look on the Yonko, and he started targeting Shanks? Is there a reason why? Is it because of Hawkins' predictions? We know Hawkins predicts death and the percentages, so maybe that's the reason why, and he said that Shanks is the most likely Yonko to die. Who knows? Just a speculation, a theory of mine that I did a video on. It's kind of cool. But yeah, Shanks dying, I love Shanks as a character, and if he didn't die, it would be kind of cool, but I think it might happen, It's a lot of evidence showcased that it might happen. Now, Shanks, we've seen him and his crew, They're partying all the time. It's like they're waiting for Luffy to do something very important. They're just chilling. Whitebeard, he said, after the One Piece is found, the greatest war of the whole world will happen, and pretty much even Oda said that the final war will make Marineford look like filler. So it's a very exciting time, and Shanks' true goal, you guys want to hear what I think Shanks' true goal is, and personally I feel like Shanks' true goal is to get Luffy to actually change the world and do something that Roger didn't. We know Roger, he went to Raft Hill, but he had a disease, and that disease made him tell the Goldie Roger pirates to separate, and he turned himself in, and he talked about the One Piece in his execution. Now, I feel like Luffy, when he finds the One Piece, unlike Roger, he's gonna have to change the world and finish Roger's job. Roger is waiting, and Roger said, I'm not gonna die yet, He's waiting for someone to inherit his will and to complete what he desired to do, and I think that'll be kind of what Shanks is doing. Shanks is kind of leading Luffy to that level in which he can become like Roger, but actually better than Roger. Now, people have been saying Reverse Mountain and Crocus are Roger a pirate, Sabo Odi, they had Rayleigh a Roger pirate, Wano, we know that Kozuki Odin a Roger pirate. In the future, maybe Scopper Gabon is gonna help Luffy a Roger pirate, and then finally Shanks, Shanks is the reason why Luffy became like a hype that was a pirate. So I definitely feel like all these Roger pirates who are like, you see every step of the way, you see a Roger pirate helping Luffy. In the future, you'll maybe see more Roger pirates coming out and helping Luffy, and to help Luffy become the greatest pirate who ever stepped in the One Piece world. It's gonna be crazy. It's definitely hype, and I'm a big fan of this being Shanks' true goal, leading Luffy to changing the actual world when it revolves around the One Piece. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section. This is just a theory, a prediction, and I told you guys I would talk about what happened and why I was on hiatus. Even throughout this video, I think you guys can tell that my voice is not the same. I'm sick, man. I'm telling you right now, I am sick. I've been sick for the last 2 weeks, and like I couldn't record. I couldn't do anything, to be honest. I try every single time. Like there was a couple crazy chapters that came out in the One Piece manga, and I wanted to record, but I couldn't. And there was a couple videos that I wanted to do that I was very, very inspired to, but I couldn't. I just didn't have the power, and that's the reason why I've been gone for so long. If you see my Twitter, I've been tweeting a little bit like I want to return, but like this sickness was too crazy. I think it's because of the seasonal change of winter to spring. That's just my guess. But yes, I'm sorry for the hiatus. I'm gonna try to fight this sickness and to try to upload more videos this week and try to be more consistent, because yes, consistency is the biggest problem for me right now, but I'm gonna try my hardest. Yo, I gotta grind it, yo, and give me that lasagna, because I need that health back, that lasagna. Like and share if you enjoy, like and share only if you enjoy it, and subscribe for more One Piece content. I'm the Legend Mac, and I'm gone.